All right, what's up guys? My name is Zach McCarley and welcome back to another Basics of Strongman. So today we're going to talk a little bit about training splits. And before we talk about training splits, as you would think about them, we should talk a little bit about the general way that they're structured. So strongman athletes typically hail from another strength sport or at least another iron sport, which would include like bodybuilding. Many times they come from things like wrestling or rugby that are familiar with lifting. And as a result, over time, this has influenced the structure of a lot of training splits. So in strongman, typically it is like with a backbone, and like it has like a backbone of training, and then it has the functional event training. And so the backbones that are really common are just powerlifting or bodybuilding. Those splits are going to be really similar. I'm going to give you some examples of those, and then you would basically take a program of one of those sports and then you would add some events. But the question is, where would you add the events, right? Well, there's two primary ways that you could add them. You could add them either every day, or you could add them every weekend, okay? And right now I want to mention like two really important things before I get too far into this. Frequency is a big deal, okay? A lot of events you can train every week. A good example is log press. You can do every week, okay? That's pretty safe. It's pretty standard for a lot of people to train log every week, okay? That is the log clean and press. There are certain events that if you train every week, example, the yoke carry, you will destroy your body. You will not effectively train yoke in a meaningful way that represents like competition or gets you better in a competition setting. Like you will destroy your body if you go heavy enough. And I would know because that happened to me. I did that, right? I've been there, don't go there. It was very unpleasant. The other thing I want to mention is that strongman is highly varied, okay? So when you would structure the events, you have to understand that a stone load isn't just a stone load, all right? And a press isn't just a press. An axle press is an axle press, good work. But is an axle press an axle clean and press every single rep? Or is it a clean and then you can press as many times as you want? That's a big difference, and it makes a big difference in your conditioning. Someone who's a lot larger, who doesn't have the same kind of conditioning, is going to typically be better at the clean once and then press a bunch of times. Another good example, right? Loading, stone loading. So let's say that the event is a 4-stone series, right? You just have to load 4 stones. Cool. Well, what if the first stone is to a 72-inch platform? It's no longer just a stone load, right? It's a stone basic for someone my height. It's a stone clean, and then like you have to press it up there because it's 6 feet. The platform is 6 feet, and these are just examples. They're not super common. Most of the time, if you're competing in a lightweight category for males, you're going to be loading to like a 54-inch platform. Women are going to be almost always loading to somewhere between 40 and 48-inch platforms or over bars, and then heavyweights are going to be loading to like 56, 58, sometimes 62, but like I've seen as low as 40 even in the heavyweights. So those are inch platforms or inch bars and load for repetitions. We've talked about this. But in general, these follow structures that are very similar to what I've outlined right here. So I've given you 2 examples, one in the powerlifting example and one for a bodybuilding example. In the powerlifting example, we have a push day, a pull day. So first, push. For those of you who are not from a powerlifting background, pushing would be like bench press. It would be overhead pressing. It would be all of the pushing. And then pulling would be like deadlifting, right? Also rows, pull downs, anything that's pulling would be that day. And then you would have events, and then you would have miscellaneous, which is things probably like If you didn't do farmers that week and you need some forearm training, you'd work that in. You'd probably work some abs into miscellaneous. You'd maybe do a little bit of calves or something like that. Something to round out your physique and make sure that you are functionally strong, because you don't want any weak links in your structure. When I say rounding out a physique, I'm not talking from a standpoint of looks, I'm talking from a standpoint of function. Moving on to the bodybuilding example, we would have something that reflects bodybuilding with events, right? So like a typical 3-day split for bodybuilding, adjusted a little bit, would be chest, shoulders, triceps, abs, and then back, biceps and forearms, and then legs, and we just add an event day. Very simple, very basic. Typically, I wouldn't suggest training more than 4 days a week, no matter what you do. Now, these are structured event days, right? So, as I mentioned before, we did use the example of the every weekend training. So we're just training events 1 day a week. There is still the option to train events every single day, which means for these pushing, I mean, it would still work for these, honestly, but like for the pushing example, we would be doing log on that day. And then for the pulling, we would be doing, farmer's deadlift or axle deadlift or car deadlift. And for events, we would be doing the things that we missed, like maybe yoke or something like that. And for miscellaneous, maybe we do some miscellaneous events. I don't know. It just depends on what your training goals are and what contest is coming up, what you need to work on, what you're weak at. Assessing different things. That's really more the realm of the other series that I have going right now, the Strongman Theory, which is soon enough, in a couple episodes, we'll be talking about how to address weaknesses. But anyway, here on Strongman Basics, we're just going to be moving on to your first Strongman contest next time. I hope this one wasn't a little bit too fast-paced or too serious. I do want this series to be more of a overview and more light, more easy to understand, not too heavy in things that people need a lot of experience to understand. Something more for people that are interested in the sport in general and just have no idea about iron sports or strength sports or anything of that nature. So anyway, if you guys like the content, please let me know. Any topics that I could talk about in the future that you're interested in, anything that you have heard that people have questions about, I would love to hear those questions so I can address them for those individuals, and share all that crap. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Thanks again for watching.